Hello, welcome to another episode of Full Circle with me, Onyx. And I don't know exactly what I'm going to say because there's a lot on my mind. And I've kind of been absent for a while. And it seems like ever since COVID, when I deleted my all my content of 700 videos on the occult, um, things have changed. And I've changed. I feel like I'm kind of retiring from the world and going like through midlife, becoming an old man. Uh my Everything's different now. It was like I just really lost the desire to uh be the be like something big anymore out in the world. Um a lot of things changed. A lot of endings happened. I basically shut out all my friends and social contacts. As at first, I thought it was because I was mad, or I thought it was because, I was having an issue. And then the reality of it is deep down inside, there was just more inner cleanup to do, another round. And it just seems like my whole life has been this process of being forced to go inward, either voluntarily or involuntary. And so once I found myself alone and feeling good, then I realized, oh, the reality is you have some inner stuff you want to release. So, that kind of happened, and I was so grateful for it. And I've just been, I feel like once you kind of hit 35, you're you're near the top of the mountain of this journey of life. Like, you know, you got this vital energy that wants you to go create a life with, have a family, whatever it is, your dreams, your goals, just growing up even physically in your body. And then you hit that peak, and then you descend into the release phase, the returning back to source. Your And I feel like that could happen at any age, depending upon when you're scheduled to die. But usually, if you're aware, your energy field will shift as it prepares for your death. So I believe that could happen in, so like, but yeah, that got real complicated fast, as all things occult and mysterious do. One reason why occult knowledge is hidden is because it's very much an inner process. It's very much an inner experience. Um, and to go into yourself and kind of be like a miner, like you're going to dig a cave and you're going to go mine for precious metals and gems, things of value. It's kind of a solo trip. Um, I think a really good analogy is the cave of Brahma. The cave of Brahma is the pathway from like your forehead to your third eye. So I think a cave is very much an appropriate term to auger in and mine out this inner gold. Um, and so that happens. I find that now, I felt like in my kind of like on my last channel, you know, when I deleted all that content, I felt like I fulfilled the intention of that, which was to put out all this information, clarify the occult and whatever, and have some fun. And then after that, I feel like that great work was complete. Um, so I fulfilled that role. So I'm going to encourage anyone who has spiritual knowledge that they've gained over the years to step in the role and dispense that information before you're old, before you're broken, before you have mental and emotional and physical disorders. So you can share the information without um, all the other stuff that goes with it. So I fulfilled that. But I feel the true nature of me is an explorer and a mystic. And so I feel deeply called to go explore the inner space, deep dive. And I was in a deep dive today. I work in retail, and this gorgeous man tries on a suit, uh, just the jacket blazer, and he was with his wife. And as soon as he put that blazer on, I kind of went into like shock for a moment. I was like, whoa. Like he went from just ordinary person to all of a sudden outstanding. And he struck me for a moment in awe of beauty, of amazingness. And I went home and I was like, okay, that was cool and whatever. But I like who I like, and all this other stuff was going on. And I'm like, I just felt really, really drawn to him. And I'm like, let go, you know? Quit res- quit feeling drawn to this person. And is it really that person? And I was feeling it, and I was like, while I was feeling it, kind of, even though his back was turned to me, I felt the magnetism from the lower back, from the second chakra. And I'm like, you know what? I bet he's a father and he has kids. And since you were abandoned as a child, you've always felt magnetically drawn to people who have kids. Somehow their energy is different when they have the father energy. So I was like, okay, yeah. And the father is an archetype in our culture, in our in our species, in our tribes. Mother and father become god and goddess. And I knew all that, and I was just sitting down and I was like, don't resist. Just let go. Feel the magnetism. Don't judge it. Don't judge yourself. Don't shame yourself. Confess you really want a dad. Confess your whole script of your bullshit is wham, wham, wham. Poor you. You were deprived of this father figure. And your whole life is like gone, like, a lack of self-image, a lack of a strong self-image to protect you from the world and make all your dreams come true. And I was like tumbling down, like inside myself, going through this like crisis of this push pull, this inner turmoil, because I had to basically take off the lid to all this hidden, unprocessed childhood content. And the story, in a weird way, was just fiction. So I finally, I hug my pillow and I'm like, yes, I really want a dad. And that would have been great. And I feel like I would have got more out of life and been more myself. And then I wished I could have connected with other men and growing up boys my age throughout, and I wish I had a circle of friends, and I wish I was in the in group and blah blah blah. And I was going down with that narrative through, and I was surprised that it was held in my body still. And the hardest thing about the whole thing was allowing myself to have a want, to acknowledge my wants, to acknowledge my desires, to my needs, and then surrender to desire, to need, and just realize, yeah, you really wanted that, and that's okay, and that's healthy and normal. So I had to basically kind of like be my own therapist and allow myself to create a connection and admit that yes, I want bonds, and yes, I want connection, and then to take responsibility. I am the one who wrote the story of my life. I'm the one who stubbornly would not allow myself to connect, and I created the whole story, the whole experience, you know? And then I was like, okay. And then, the healing naturally happened by going inward and allowing myself, giving myself to not judge the way I went about trying to get my needs fulfilled, and to recognize the maybe the just you know just to recognize and honor and understand myself. I ended up coming to this place of self-awareness, and it was really cool because the image of the six-rayed star appeared and shattered, like someone threw a Star of David symbol or the alchemist star on the ground and shattered it. And it was like, wait a minute, don't you remember you're beyond the story of your life, the character that you play? You've already had the realization that you've already been with your consciousness beyond time and space. You're already self-aware. You've had awakenings. And I knew that, but the programming, the inner child, and all that stuff stored in my body didn't know that fully. So, breath work, you breathe it out, you had the realization, boom. And it was like getting back to zero, getting back to good, crash landing at the bottom of at that layer, I'm going to say the subconscious, and releasing and starting over. And it was a really good step in the healing of the masculine polarity. So, as men, as boys, we feel a deep loss secretly when we have to leave our mothers to then go face the world, become independent. And so, but there's also a loss if you don't get to have a positive connection with your father figure, if they're not ideal. So I think all of us, we can receive negative programming from parents, authority figures, caregivers, and that can taint the image of divine mother and divine father. And of course, everything I talk about is occult. So what did that have to do with anything? It has everything to do with it. Because when you work with a Kabbalah, which is basically the bare bones of Western magic, Western occult mysteries, high magic, you have the pillar of severity, which is feminine, and you have the pillar of mercy, which is masculine. And you have that middle pillar of balance, which I now call the, right now I'm just calling it the pillar of transcendence. And all three pillars combined and make the tree of life. And so there's this alchemy going on with honoring the masculine and feminine in you, and that which balances the Tao, the indescribable. Really bad word to use, very triggering word, is God. Because we've distorted that image so far that we keep associating it with, like, some guy in the sky. When really it was, you could probably just call it divinity. So everyone is, but anyways, so the Kabbalah and the Tree of Life, the mystic hermetic version, it's a blueprint of ascension. It's a blueprint from being just a being human full of desire to becoming an angelic being, to becoming a divine being, like a god. It would be the Adam Kadmon and the inner mysteries of the alchemical process of self-transformation. And so people don't understand the tarot because they haven't been initiated. They haven't been brought into the inner knowledge of self-transformation, which Carl Jung really brought out with his theories of archetypes and depth psychology and archetype psychology, which is all part of the mysteries. So, anyways, and so you have to live. It can't be theory. It has to be in your life. It's a living teaching. The tree of life is living in you. The path working is within you and your life. And so it's a holographic blueprint that mirrors the universe and so much more. But so yeah, there is this framework that I do my self-transformation with. It's the same framework that I do my psychology with. It's the same framework that I do so much because, I did go to a Western mystery school and I enjoyed it and I adopted some of those teachings. And so it's a roadmap. It's a mystic shaman's roadmap as you discover your own inner space. It helps you organize it and gives you a basis to be rational about it. And it can help you harmonize the male-female principles within and without. And it creates a circuit. And it's this circuit that allows you to then contact higher beings and the full of all your energy. So you're only operating at half energy if you're totally polarized feminine, if you're totally polarized masculine. You're short-circuiting yourself if you have hate towards one of the gender poles or even one of the ages. Because as we mature, the body may wither, but then the soul strengthens. If you're maturing correctly, like you're going through a metamorphosis. And so you take flight. So the body weakens, but the soul gains strength. So when we neglect the elderly through this process, we lose a very strong soul. And we don't listen, we miss the teachings and the wisdom that they have to share. So children came, directly from source energy or whatever dimension, whatever narrative you believe. They're not just a blank slate. They are enlightened. So when we dishonor the innocence. If the ultimate enlightenment is innocence, if being closest to God is like a child, then your greatest teacher, you're changing their diaper. So in our culture, we discount elderly, we discount infants, and we miss these 2 points of being in the radiance of divinity. And it depends upon, how you play your cards. You know, both of these extreme poles can be quite challenging, but when you understand life just continues in cycles, you know, life, death, and rebirth, and these windows of opportunity to be closer to the divine or the occult, to those who have eyes to see and ears to hear, you could really take advantage of that, you know? And between these doorways, life is the greatest teacher of the mysteries. So you can't expect the great teacher to be sitting in front of you like a guru, answering your questions to an audience, when that great guru is the grass growing under your feet, is the mountain outside your window, is the tree in your backyard, is the rotting corpses in the graveyard, is the stars. And so you kind of gotta wise up. If science can only mimic nature, and art mimics nature, life mimics art, and art mimics life, then you might want to humble yourself and start learning from life. There's so much you can learn. And not all learning comes from words. You have to learn to listen to the silence. So when I'm communing with a higher power and greater beings, they're not, you know, telling me their cosmic name and they're an entity and they're called this and they're here to uplift humanity. No, it's consciousness to consciousness, awareness to awareness, soul to soul. And it's an energy exchange, an interface through my nervous system. Uh, you know, and a lot of information is passed on, a lot of awareness and knowledge, but it's of an inner quality. And it's not meant to like manifest houses and homes and cars and boyfriends and materialistic things or revenge or blessings. It's like cosmic knowledge that has a lot to do with a greater awareness of the universe. You know, it's definitely fourth dimensional. uh, but remember, whatever happened to fun? You know, whatever happened to love? Whatever happened to beauty? Whatever happened to art? And so there's a balance of this thing called life. And so hmm, yep, just by talking about it, it can like dial you in. You can have a moment. But coming back, wrapping it up, what was this all about? Is basically, I've pretty much closed my ears and eyes to the people who don't have their hearts open. Like, I'm not going to be in the presence of people, or I'm not going to be open and receptive to those who don't have their hearts working. If the heart is the center of the tree of life. You know, it's like the Grand Station Central where all the trains come and go, all the paths. So it's like I don't really want to listen to a guru or teacher, an expert. I don't want to listen to anyone who has an agenda, who doesn't have their heart open. They're not aligned to God's source energy. They're not on the middle pillar. You know, love bombing isn't a heart open. This, either as being a tough daddy figure or a stern mother or a boss. Like, you can be all these things, but if your heart's not open, your crown's not open. Like, the heart and crown go together. So I guess it's out there for some people, but that's where I'm at, where I can now, besides listening with my mind, I can listen with my heart. Besides seeing with my mind, I can see with my heart. And if you don't, I would say if you're having any difficulties in the mystic arts, it's probably because your heart isn't open. For me, it's been my experience throughout my life that when my heart is open, then the divine uses it as a landing pad, a launch pad and a landing pad. Like the plane comes in, lands in my heart space, and the plane takes off in my heart space. That's where my angel connects with me. It, like, because my heart is open enough and my mind is open enough, these two portals become circuits, and I can connect fourth and fifth dimensionally. So if you're having difficulty accessing your guides and whatever, I would work on clearing that out. Like, you really have to exercise some self-love and stop accepting dirty people into your life, into your bubble. Like, really, your body is a temple, your mind is a temple, your heart is a temple, your energy is a temple, the place where you live. You start becoming very conscious of the true purification that needs to happen if you want to summoning angels and demons. It's like if a divine being, a great being of cosmic proportion, is coming to stay at your house, you'd probably clean it up. So your own soul is a divine being, your own higher self. I see a lot of people who don't have a morality to their mystic arts, to their personal transformation, their self-development. And I would say create a morality for yourself. You don't need to be in low vibrations. You don't need to be in conversations and empty entertainment that isn't opening you up to greater heights and depths that are of service to the collective good. What's best for you is best for everyone, right? Not in an egoic sense. But if you're truly in the mysteries, you're all about self-transformation. And it's not a loss if people aren't supporting you. It's a favor. So I just look at, I'm done having toxic people take a dump in my soul and me getting nothing out of it. If people aren't adding to your life, they're taking a dump in your soul. And when you realize it's at that level, it's a really quick, hard shut the door in your face. type of attitude. It's like I deserve clean because I care about myself. And I'm a fourth dimensional being, you know? So I'm not here to kick it with 2.5D people to pass the time as I have no purpose. No, I have a spiritual purpose. So this is the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Be good to yourself.